Everybody, and welcome to the Christmas universe here as we are now going to look at one of the big highlights of Christmas last year that I finally the opportunity to review here, and that is the new Wallace and Gromit animation that we were given last Christmas, and of course will be very much be repeated for Christmas this year. Obviously, Vengeance Most Foul was a big highlight of the Christmas schedule of last year. This is the animation basically did very well, in fact, for it became the second most watched special of well the second most watched program of Christmas Day last year, and obviously it was beaten by Gavin and Stacey, rightfully so, because Gavin and Stacey, it was their farewell last year. So this animation, of course, this is the and also let's not forget this is the first animation Ben Whitehouse is playing Wallace, because the original Wallace, unfortunately, he passed away before the making of this movie. Of course, he passed away a couple of years before this movie was thought. So, of course, they had to get somebody who was kind of sounds similar to the previous Wallace, and luckily Ben Whitehouse did a very good job at basically playing the role, which was really good. So obviously he took on the Wallace role for this movie. Peter Kay would also make a return to Wallace. He brought his police character back, Curse of the Were-Rabbit. We haven't seen, since that movie, and got to see Reese Shearsmith, who was essentially being the garden gnome. Yes, he was essentially being Norbot, the advanced garden gnome, who was essentially invented by Wallace, which was great. And then we have Lauren Patton, who also had a chance to play a role in this Wallace and Gromit movie. Yes, my thoughts on this animation. I actually, to be fair, I feel like this whole Wallace and Gromit animation was actually kind of to see, I guess, to I think the big part of the big talking point of this whole movie was the fact that this was essentially, I guess you could say, it was essentially a sequel to the Wrong Trousers that we saw in obviously be one of the popular Wallace and Gromit animations from 1993, with the whole penguin Feather McGowers being the one who stole who tried to steal the blue diamond. Yeah, Wallace and Gromit for a while. They basically, they gave back the blue diamond, but it turns out that Feather McGowers had other tricks up his sleeve. He basically kept the blue diamond in their house the entire time to make everyone believe that the diamond was actually there, when in fact it was in fact in Wallace's house, because Famagowas basically put it in a spot for he got sent to the jail, essentially. So he had a really good hiding spot to put it, so that he could so that one day he would have a chance to get out of his cell and finally get that blue diamond once and for all, when he can finally get his revenge on Wallace and Gromit for their first attempt. Of course, his part of his plan, of course, and the fact that part of his plan was to essentially control the Norbot and the Garden Gnomes, which he managed to reprogram into basically, yeah, he was essentially reprogramming them into building I guess, a boat that would essentially see him be able to escape from his prison, and obviously reach to be able to get to Wallace's house, so that they can finally steal. He can take back the blue diamond and escape. Essentially, that was his, and he managed to get the garden gnomes to do some secret stuff, so that he can finally and then steal a lot of objects, so that they can build as a sort of escape for Feather McGowers, which was really smart. Of building a submarine, I guess you could say, was his plan all along. And obviously, Gromit saw Feathers and had Norbert cut him through the tree, and he was hiding in there. Then they failed to enclose because he impacted the reset of Norbert. Norbert was able, and obviously by resetting the gnomes, they went back to their normal cells, which luckily Norbert was, and Gromit managed to get Norbert to help him in sort of going after Feather McGowers and warn Wallace that he basically escaped. Yeah, yeah, so that was a very, very smart move from Feather McGowers. The fact that he basically tricked Wallace into giving them what he thought was the blue diamond, but actually it was he was giving him, and he basically hid the diamond in Wallace's house prior to his arrest. And obviously Wallace and Gromit were captured by the gnomes, and it was just smart plan from Feathers to do exactly all that. But honestly, like I said, I really enjoy, and obviously the boat scene as well when they were. I mean, many of us thought that Gromit was basically going to die, but luckily he managed to keep himself on board the boat because, well, he tried to make sure that he didn't fall off when the boat was on its side of in Yorkshire, because yes, some of the story took place in Yorkshire. But yeah, honestly, this entire animation is just such a it's just so great to have Wallace and Gromit back on, isn't it? It's just great to I thought it was just really great to see Feather McGow's making a return. The fact that we're seeing the fact that obviously this time Feather was able to escape before the police could get to him because they thought they were gonna essentially be able to stop Feathers, but obviously Gromit managed to get the bag of the diamonds so that Feathers would be left with. Yeah, he was essentially gave him the turnips instead of the diamonds. So yeah, Wallace would be clear of suspicions, and Macintosh, who is the character Peter Kay was praising his sort of colleague in his instincts, and he was able to retire and pass on his position to her. Wallace would return to inventing, and it would all end with basically admitting that machinery can't replace the human touch. And then Gromit grants a new respect for Norbot, which at first Gromit wasn't so sure whether it was a good idea to have like garden gnomes or robotic garden gnomes as the new norm, because he believes that he was relying too much of his inventions in machinery, but luckily he convinced Wallace to basically go back to the human touch, which yes, it was basically, I guess you could say, just a story about let humans do stuff rather than machines sometimes, and that's exactly what this story basically did. It basically kind of put that story up close and personal, and like I said, that's essentially what we had in terms of the Wallace and Gromit Feathers of Vengeance Most Foul. There'll be a link in the description if you want to watch the movie. By the way, there's going to be an opportunity, yeah, like I said, because BBC iPlayer still does have all the Wallace and Gromits. If you want to rewatch all the Wallace and Gromit, including Vengeance Most Foul, that should still be there as well. Yeah, and you can also watch it on Netflix because they've also got Netflix as well as Wallace and Gromit, including Vengeance Most Foul, the new film, and they've even got the Chicken Run sequel in there as well, which is yet to make its debut on the BBC, but maybe this year it does. Who knows? Yes, I would just love to know what you guys make of Wallace and Gromit's Vengeance Most Foul in the comment section below. Did you enjoy it? Were you not so keen to it? I actually don't mind it. I thought it was really fun, and hopefully you lot found it fun too. So that is my sort of thoughts on Wallace and Gromit's Vengeance Most Foul, and be sure to tune in on the Chris's Universe on Saturday, as we're going to do a sort of an opportunity to share my thoughts on the Top of the Pops Christmas special of 1997, aired earlier this year, by the way. And then, of course, we'll have more Top of the Pops Christmas reviews, and we're also going to be getting ready for ITV to share their plans for ITVX and ITV channels for Christmas, as well as BBC to reveal their plans for Christmas 2025, which is fastly approaching, by the way. Thanks for watching, guys, and I will catch you all in the next Chris's Universe by looking back at Top of the Pops Christmas 1997. See you then.
Christmas. Oh, I can't wait to see those faces.